Hey everyone, Chase Elleby with Joel Williams coming to you today with our fourth week of our series of 52 weeks of personal injury. And today we're going to talk to you about what to do when your lawyer just flat out ignores you. So, Joel, what would be the first thing you would recommend doing to someone whose lawyer is just not responding?
Yeah, so the first thing honestly, Chase, you know this, we get this question a lot. I can't begin to tell you how many phone calls we get from somebody that's already got another attorney, and they're dissatisfied because that attorney is not answering phone calls or returning emails, that type of thing. So, anytime that situation happens here, the first thing that I like to tell people is I would insist on a face-to-face meeting with the attorney.
Right.
Sit down, try to figure out exactly what's going on as to why this attorney is not responsive to you. There are attorneys that work on cases that, they may be in trial, and most trials don't last 3 or 4 months, but some do. So, when we sign up clients and people hire us, the first thing I tell them is that we're always going to be accessible to you. But if we're in trial, we're in trial.
Right.
And it may be hard to get in touch with us. But, most of the time that's not more than a week. So if you have problems where your attorney is not responding to you over an extended period of time, then it's time to set up that face-to-face meeting and sit down with them and try to figure out exactly what's going on.
Right. Yeah. Nothing I think will get, the job done quicker is if you call up and speak to the paralegal office manager, whoever it may be, and say, hey, great, I appreciate the information you're giving me, but I'd really love to sit down and talk with the attorney. Can you please schedule a time? Whether it's a meeting or a phone call, so that way it gets put on the calendar, and it's a set time to have that meeting. So, and kind of, segueing into the next topic with, getting in touch with your attorney and things like that, or setting expectations, right? So for us, for instance, we always ask our clients, what's the best way to communicate with you on a case? Is it text? Is it email? Is it a phone call? What's the best way to convey information? So that way we know how to do it and to effectively do it, and likewise, right, for them, what, the best way for them to contact us, right? I always tell my clients, super easy to get in touch with me on my cell phone. Mm-hmm. Text me, shoot me an email or call me. Honestly, that's probably the best way to get me. And if I'm in a deposition or if I'm in trial in another meeting, I'll try to get back to them as soon as I can.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and I think when you're setting those expectations, it's wise to do that at the onset of the attorney-client relationship. If you need weekly updates or monthly updates and that kind of thing, you need to let the attorney know at that time, right? Because the reality of a personal injury claim is that there's going to be sometimes during the claim where there's a ton going on all at once.
Right.
There's going to be other times where there's not a whole lot going on the legal side of things because, for example, the attorney may have everything he or she needs to prove your case except for your medical records and bills, and the reason he or she may not have your medical records and bills is because you're still treating. So the attorney's kind of in hold mode waiting to hear from you on, when you're going to be done treating. So I think it's really a good idea for the client and the attorney to put their heads together and sort of set out this expectation of how often and in what manner communications will happen at the onset of the attorney-client relationship.
Right, and I think too that's important to discuss, sort of the cycle of any case, right? Because like you said, there's certainly going to be times where the client and the attorney are very active in that case and what's going on, right? And then there's a lot of times too where it's just a lull, right? I always tell my clients it ebbs and flows, right? There's a lot of time where there's peak of high activity, and then we're kind of in the valley where there's not a whole lot going on. We may have everything. We may have already done our investigation, gotten open records requests, sent letters to insurance companies and things like that. And we're just waiting on the client to be done treating. So there could be certainly times where there's gaps with just very little communication or just a drop in, hey, everything's still on track, keep me updated on your treatment and things like that. So
yeah, and we're certainly not trying to make excuses for attorneys not contacting their clients because it's absolutely one of the ethical obligations of an attorney to keep his or her client informed of what's going on in a case. But with that being said, there are obviously times where there are legitimate reasons that the attorney may not be getting in touch with the client. However, if it's a persistent problem that cannot be fixed, if you can't get that face-to-face meeting with the attorney, or if you have the meeting and your concerns are not resolved during that meeting, you do have the option of firing your attorney and hiring a different law firm. Usually we suggest this as a last resort, but that is your option and you can do that. So if it really gets that bad, just remember you have the option of terminating your attorney. Now, I say that's a last resort because there are sometimes consequences to firing your attorney. So if the attorney or the previous law firm has incurred a lot of expenses or spent a whole lot of time on your case, they might be able to put a lien on it if you fire them and hire somebody else. So before you fire that attorney and take that last step, I think it's a good idea to go ahead and request a complete copy of your file.
Right. Yeah, that, and also too, to review the contract that you signed. The attorney, you should always have a copy of the contract or fee agreement that you signed with the attorney from the onset, and definitely look over that and see what sort of your obligations are. If you kind of go to the break class in case of emergency option of wanting to switch lawyers or fire your lawyer. Yeah, read what your obligations are. It's had to be in writing. How much notice do you have to give? What are you responsible for? Like Joel was saying, you a lot of times responsible for case expenses that have already been spent. Sometimes you're going to be responsible for the time that's already been put into it. But yeah, that's also a good point to ask for a copy of your file. They're obligated under the Georgia Bar Rules to give you a copy of your file when you request it. But sometimes that could take a while. They could be dragging their feet depending on the law firm and who it is that's actually handling the case, whether it's actually an attorney or a case manager. It could take some time to get that file.
Yeah, and the file, once you get it, should tell you a lot about whether the attorney's actually been working on the case. Like, have they been corresponding with the insurance company? Have they sent out open records requests? Have they gathered medical bills that they should be gathering? All of those kind of things will tell you whether the attorney has just been super busy with another trial or something like that, or whether they truly are ignoring the case. Because sometimes attorneys will avoid contact with a client. They don't know what's going on in that client's case. So if you get your hands on a copy of your file, that'll tell you a lot about what's really going on.
Yeah, or the potentially new attorney, right, to see what's been going on and to advise you on sort of what your next steps need to be. So
that's right.
Yeah.
Got anything else?
I think that's it.
All right, cool. Well, that will wrap up week 4 of our video series, 52 Weeks of Personal Injury. We hope this has been helpful to you if you're struggling with communications with your attorney or if your attorney's struggling to communicate with you. If this video has been helpful, we appreciate you subscribing to our channel, giving us a thumbs up, or if you have any other comments that's been helpful to you in the past when you've dealt with attorneys that don't communicate with you, just put those comments in the section below to help out our friends and neighbors. Otherwise, we will see you next week for video number 5.